On the morning she was supposed to die, General Shen Yue heard a man's voice inside her head. Do not drink the wine. She froze with the golden cup hovering near her lips. The emperor's banquet hall buzzed with laughter, silk, music, and hidden knives. Ministers smiled behind their sleeves. Noble ladies whispered beneath jeweled fans. But the voice in her mind was calm, cold, dangerously familiar. 3 breaths from now, the cup-bearer will collapse first. Shen Yue slowly lowered the wine. 3 breaths later, the servant beside her suddenly coughed blood onto the marble floor. The banquet exploded into screams. And somewhere across the hall, the infamous 9th prince looked directly at her. Chapter 1 The Cursed General. In the Great Liang Dynasty, no woman was feared more than Shen Yue. At 23, she had led armies across frozen northern borders, defeated invading cavalry, and earned the title Crimson Phoenix General. The common people worshipped her. The court despised her. A woman with military power was a threat no emperor could ignore. Especially after her father died mysteriously in prison. Especially after the emperor began believing rumors that Shen Yue intended rebellion. So when she received an imperial order to return to the capital for the mid-autumn banquet, everyone understood its meaning. The emperor was finally preparing to remove her. Yet Shen Yue arrived smiling. Her crimson robes swept through the palace halls like flowing fire. A sword hung at her waist despite court etiquette. Ministers glared. She ignored them. The only person she noticed was the man seated beneath the black dragon banner. 9th Prince Xiao Zhen, the emperor's younger brother. A man rumored to be ruthless enough to skin traitors alive. He wore dark robes embroidered with silver clouds. His face was devastatingly handsome, but his eyes held no warmth. People called him the Ghost Prince. Because everyone close to him eventually died. Shen Yue disliked him instantly. Then she heard his voice inside her head. She's staring too openly. Does she wish to challenge me? Her eyes widened. Xiao Zhen's expression did not change. But another thought echoed in her mind. Interesting. She heard that. Shen Yue nearly crushed her wine cup. What kind of demon technique was this? Across the hall, Xiao Zhen slowly lifted his tea. Remain calm, General Shen. If you panic now, the assassins hiding near the western pillars will move earlier than planned. Her blood ran cold. Assassins. She forced herself not to turn. Good, his voice continued inside her head. You learn quickly. Before she could reply, another thought entered his mind without permission. You arrogant bastard. Xiao Zhen choked on his tea. The entire hall fell silent. Shen Yue stared. He stared back. And for the first time in years, the terrifying 9th prince looked genuinely shocked. Chapter 2 Shared Thoughts. After the poisoned servant died, the banquet ended in chaos. The emperor ordered investigations. Ministers accused one another. Shen Yue left the hall under heavy guard. But before she could reach the palace gates, a cold voice stopped her. General Shen. She turned. Xiao Zhen stood beneath a lantern-lined corridor. Moonlight silvered his robes. Walk with me, he said. I'd rather fight wolves. Sharp tongue, his thoughts murmured. Shen Yue flinched. Stop doing that. Doing what? Looking unexpectedly beautiful when angry. She almost stumbled. His face remained perfectly expressionless. But inside his mind, amusement rippled. Shen Yue pointed a finger at him. You can hear me, and you can hear me. How? I was hoping you knew. They walked in tense silence. Except silence was impossible, because every few moments, thoughts slipped through. She smells like snow and smoke. He truly thinks he's handsome enough to survive arrogance. She definitely wants to punch me. Correct. Xiao Zhen finally stopped beside a lotus pond. This connection began tonight, he said quietly. The moment the servant collapsed. Shen Yue crossed her arms. So we're cursed. Wonderful. If this is a curse, it is strangely entertaining. She glared. He almost smiled. Then his expression darkened. Someone poisoned the banquet to frame you. The emperor already suspects me. He suspects everyone. Xiao Zhen looked toward the distant palace roofs. But there are deeper forces moving inside the court. A pause. Then his thoughts slipped through before he could stop them. And if I fail, you will die first. Shen Yue blinked. That sounded almost concerned. The realization unsettled her more than the mind connection itself. Chapter 3 The Ghost Prince. Rumors about Xiao Zhen filled the capital. He executed corrupt officials without mercy. He survived 6 assassination attempts. 3 former fiancés died before marriage. Servants feared even looking into his eyes. But Shen Yue soon discovered the rumors were incomplete. The Ghost Prince was unbearably disciplined. He woke before dawn, read military reports while drinking bitter medicine, trained with swords alone in silent courtyards. And despite his terrifying reputation, he secretly fed stray cats. That one reminds me of you, he thought while crouching beside a white kitten. Are you comparing me to a cat? You hiss at everyone. You deserve it. The kitten climbed into his lap. Xiao Zhen absent-mindedly stroked its fur. Shen Yue stared. She had expected a monster. Instead she found a lonely man pretending to be one. Unfortunately, he was also impossible to avoid. Because the mind link grew stronger each day. At first they only heard surface thoughts. Then emotions. Then memories. One night, while Shen Yue cleaned her sword inside the guest residence, a wave of pain suddenly crashed through her chest. Not hers. His. She gasped. Images flashed across her mind. Rain. Blood. A younger Xiao Zhen kneeling beside a woman's body. His mother. Poisoned. Palace servants dragging him away while the emperor turned his face in silence. The memory vanished. Shen Yue realized tears stood in her eyes. Far across the palace, Xiao Zhen froze. You saw that? She hesitated, then answered silently, yes. A long pause followed. Finally, now you understand why I trust nobody. For once, Shen Yue had no sharp reply. Chapter 4 The Assassin's Return. 3 nights later, assassins attacked. Shen Yue woke instantly to killing intent. Moonlight flashed across drawn blades. 7 black-clothed figures burst through her windows. She grabbed her sword. Steel rang through the darkness. One attacker died before touching the floor. Another lost an arm, but more flooded into the room. Then Xiao Zhen's voice thundered inside her mind. Duck. She moved without thinking. An arrow sliced through the space where her head had been. Moments later, Xiao Zhen himself crashed through the doorway with imperial guards behind him. The battle became slaughter. The 9th prince fought like death itself. Cold, precise, merciless. When the final assassin fell, silence returned. Blood dripped from Xiao Zhen's sword. Shen Yue stared at him. You came quickly. I ran the entire way like a madman. His expression remained calm. I happened to be nearby. She almost laughed. Inside his mind, panic still echoed. If I had arrived 1 moment later. The thought cut off abruptly. Because he realized she heard it. Their eyes met. Something changed. Not trust. Not yet. But, the beginning of it. Chapter 5 The Hidden Conspiracy. The assassins carried no insignia. But Shen Yue recognized their fighting style. Northern mercenaries. Which made no sense. Unless someone inside the capital had hired foreign killers. Xiao Zhen spread investigation documents across his study. Candles flickered against dark shelves. Rain tapped against windows. Someone is trying to start war, he said. Shen Yue leaned over the table. Their sleeves brushed. Both froze. Because the mind link suddenly sharpened. A flood of thoughts collided. She's too close. His eyes are unfairly attractive. Touch her hand. Do not touch his hand. They jerked apart simultaneously. Xiao Zhen coughed. Shen Yue looked anywhere except his face. The atmosphere became strangely hot. Finally he said, the crown prince has been secretly buying weapons. She frowned. The crown prince was the emperor's eldest son. Weak, cowardly, easily manipulated. You think he's behind this? No. Xiao Zhen's eyes narrowed. I think someone is using him. He handed her a scroll. A name was written inside. Prime Minister Liu, the most powerful official in the empire. The same man who accused Shen Yue's father of treason years ago. Her fingers tightened. Hatred flashed through her. Xiao Zhen felt it instantly. You want revenge, wouldn't you? He did not answer immediately. Then, revenge is dangerous. Once it begins, it devours everything. Shen Yue looked at him carefully. For a moment, the ghost prince seemed unbearably tired. Chapter 6 Snowfall Confessions. Winter arrived early that year. Snow covered the capital in white silence. The emperor ordered a hunting festival outside the city. Everyone attended. Nobles drank wine beside blazing fires while soldiers prepared horses. Shen Yue hated noble gatherings. Xiao Zhen hated people in general. So naturally they ended up alone together in the forest. Shen Yue rode ahead through snowy trees. You know, she said, people think we're secretly plotting rebellion. People are unimaginative. Though rebellion with you sounds surprisingly appealing. She snorted. Then suddenly her horse screamed. An arrow struck its neck. The animal collapsed violently. Shen Yue rolled across frozen ground. More arrows rained from the trees. Ambush. Xiao Zhen pulled her behind a fallen log. Soldiers in imperial armor emerged from the forest. But their insignia were fake. Prime Minister Lu had finally made his move. Kill them both. A commander shouted. Battle exploded across the snow. Shen Yue fought beside Xiao Zhen back to back. Perfectly synchronized, because the mind link allowed them to predict each other's movements. Left. Behind you. 3 archers ahead. Blood stained the snow crimson. Yet enemy numbers kept growing. Eventually Xiao Zhen grabbed her wrist. Run. I don't run. Please. The desperation in his thoughts stunned her. Then she saw it. A hidden crossbow aimed directly at his heart. Time slowed. Shen Yue shoved him aside. The bolt struck her shoulder instead. Pain exploded through her body. Xiao Zhen's expression shattered. For the first time since meeting him, true fear appeared in his eyes. He killed the crossbowman instantly. Then another. And another. The remaining assassins fled in terror. Snow fell silently around them. Shen Yue swayed. Xiao Zhen caught her before she collapsed. Warm blood soaked his hands. Do not die. The thought broke inside her mind like raw agony. She looked up at him weakly. You're very loud when worried. His jaw tightened. Then, before thinking, he pulled her against his chest. And Shen Yue heard the truth he had hidden for months. I love you. Everything became still. Even the snow seemed to stop falling. Xiao Zhen realized what escaped his mind. His entire body froze. Shen Yue stared at him. The feared ghost prince looked almost vulnerable. Slowly, despite the pain, she smiled. Good, she answered silently. Because I love you too. Chapter 7 The Emperor's Trap. They returned to the capital injured and furious. But before they could expose Prime Minister Lu, the emperor summoned them. The old ruler sat upon the dragon throne surrounded by armed guards. His face looked thinner than before. Sicker. Paranoid. Kneel, he ordered. Shen Yue and Xiao Zhen obeyed. I hear there was another assassination attempt, the emperor said. Yes, your majesty, Xiao Zhen replied. The emperor studied them carefully. Then he smiled. Interesting. Shen Yue immediately disliked that smile. The emperor leaned forward. Tell me, ninth brother. Why does my most feared general spend every waking moment beside you lately? Silence. The emperor's eyes sharpened. Some ministers believe you are forming factions. Danger flooded the hall. Shen Yue realized this was no conversation. It was a trial. One wrong word meant death. Xiao Zhen remained calm. The general and I merely investigate recent attacks. Together. Efficiency is valuable. The emperor laughed softly. Or perhaps affection is valuable. The guards gripped their weapons. Shen Yue felt Xiao Zhen's pulse of alarm through the mind link. Not for himself. For her. Because if the emperor suspected romance between them, both would be destroyed. Then the emperor spoke again. I have decided to resolve the issue permanently. A servant stepped forward carrying a scroll. Imperial marriage decree. The emperor smiled. General Shen shall marry the crown prince next month. The world went silent. Shen Yue's blood turned to ice. Xiao Zhen's thoughts exploded with fury. I will burn this palace to the ground. She nearly grabbed his arm. Not here. Not now. The emperor watched them carefully. Testing. Waiting. Shen Yue forced herself to bow. This subject obeys your majesty's will. But inside her mind, only one thought echoed. There must be another way. And from beside her came Xiao Zhen's answer. There is. We take the throne first. Chapter 8 Rebellion in Silence. That night, snowstorm winds battered the capital. Inside Xiao Zhen's hidden war room, maps covered the walls. Secret allies filled the chamber. Generals loyal to Shen Yue. Officials betrayed by Prime Minister Liu. Spies from the Shadow Guard. The empire stood on the edge of civil war. Shen Yue stared at the map. If we rebel openly, thousands die. If we do nothing, Xiao Zhen replied, the emperor kills us both and Prime Minister Liu seizes power afterward anyway. He was right. The old emperor had become unstable. And the crown prince lacked strength to rule. The dynasty was rotting from within. One minister bowed deeply. Your Highness, the Northern Army supports General Shen completely. If you issue the order tonight, the capital can be surrounded by dawn. Shen Yue looked toward Xiao Zhen. He looked back. Through the mind link, fear slipped between them. Not fear of battle, fear of becoming monsters. Finally Shen Yue spoke. No civil war. Everyone stared. She continued calmly. We expose Prime Minister Liu publicly before the court. We force the emperor to choose. And if he chooses Liu? Someone asked. Shen Yue's eyes hardened. Then we fight. Xiao Zhen studied her silently. Then his thoughts brushed hers gently. You still believe this empire can be saved, don't you? A pause. I want to believe because you do. Her chest tightened unexpectedly. For a man feared by the world, Xiao Zhen trusted her with terrifying sincerity. And that frightened her more than war. Chapter 9 The Truth Beneath the Throne. The next court assembly changed the empire forever. Hundreds of officials filled the grand hall. The emperor sat upon the dragon throne. Prime Minister Liu stood confidently at the front. Then Xiao Zhen stepped forward. Your Majesty, he said clearly, I request permission to present evidence of treason. Whispers spread instantly. Prime Minister Liu's smile faded slightly. Xiao Zhen raised a hand. Guards dragged forward captured assassins. Then came ledgers. Secret military payments. Illegal weapon shipments. Foreign communications. The hall erupted. Prime Minister Liu shouted denials. But Shen Yue suddenly stepped forward holding one final document. Her father's prison confession. Forged. Every accusation against the Shen family had been fabricated by Liu years ago. The emperor trembled with rage. You dared manipulate the throne. Prime Minister Liu's expression finally cracked. Then he laughed. Not nervously, madly. Manipulate, he hissed. This dynasty deserved destruction long ago. Guards moved, but Liu drew a hidden dagger and lunged directly toward the emperor. Chaos exploded. Shen Yue intercepted him instantly. Steel clashed. The old minister fought like a cornered beast. Meanwhile another danger appeared. The crown prince. Terrified by the scandal, he suddenly drew his sword at Xiao Zhen. You planned this, he screamed. Xiao Zhen blocked automatically, but he could not strike lethally against the air. For one horrifying moment, the court descended into madness. Then Shen Yue disarmed Liu. At the same instant, Xiao Zhen knocked the crown prince unconscious. Silence crashed down. The emperor stared at the ruined court. At the traitorous minister. At his trembling son. At the brother and general who had just saved his life. He suddenly looked very old. Leave us, he whispered. The hall emptied slowly. Only Shen Yue and Xiao Zhen remained kneeling before the throne. Long silence followed. Finally the emperor spoke. Do you know why I feared both of you? Neither answered. The emperor smiled bitterly. Because together, you are unstoppable. He looked toward Xiao Zhen. Your mother once told me the empire needed kindness more than fear. I never listened. Then he looked toward Shen Yue. And your father was the last truly loyal man at court. Regret filled the room like smoke. The emperor slowly removed the imperial jade seal. I am tired, he said softly. Xiao Zhen's eyes widened. Brother, the crown prince is weak. The ministers are corrupt. The people suffer. The emperor placed the seal before Xiao Zhen. Rule better than I did. Shen Yue froze. The emperor was abdicating. Just like that, Xiao Zhen remained motionless. Inside his mind, emotions stormed violently. Shock, grief, reluctance. Then one final thought. I cannot do this alone. Shen Yue looked at him steadily. You won't have to. Chapter 10 The New Dynasty. Spring arrived months later. The empire changed with it. Prime Minister Liu was executed for treason. Corrupt officials were removed. Taxes on common farmers decreased. Border soldiers finally received proper supplies. And for the first time in years, the capital streets felt hopeful. Xiao Zhen became emperor reluctantly. Very reluctantly. He hated ceremonial robes, despised endless court meetings, and secretly wished to abandon everything and disappear into the mountains with Shen Yue. Unfortunately, she heard those thoughts constantly. The ministers would faint if their emperor vanished, she teased. A tempting possibility. Now she stood beside him not as general alone, but as empress. The wedding shocked the empire. Some ministers protested, until Shen Yue challenged the loudest critic to sword combat in the palace courtyard. After he lost within 3 breaths, nobody complained again. Yet despite titles and ceremonies, some things never changed. They still argued constantly, still exchanged sarcastic thoughts during formal meetings, still accidentally revealed embarrassing emotions through the mind link. Especially at night. One evening, Shen Yue sat beside an open window watching lanterns drift across the palace gardens. Xiao Zhen entered quietly carrying tea. "You are avoiding sleep again," he said. The reports were endless. He placed tea beside her. For a while they simply listened to spring rain. Peace felt unfamiliar. Then Shen Yue asked softly, "Do you think the connection will ever disappear?" Xiao Zhen looked at her. The candlelight gentled his usually cold features. "Do you want it to?" She considered carefully. At first the mind link had terrified her. No secrets, no walls, no protection, but somewhere between shared battles, silent confessions, and countless sleepless nights, it had become precious, because for the first time in their lives, neither of them was truly alone. Shen Yue smiled faintly. "No," she admitted. His answering thought brushed hers like warmth. "Neither do I." Outside, rain fell softly over the sleeping empire. And inside the palace, the phoenix and the dragon listened quietly to each other's hearts. Forever. Epilogue, the story the people told. Years later, storytellers across the Great Liang Dynasty still spoke about the legendary emperor and empress. They said the Phoenix Empress could defeat 10 generals alone. They said the Dragon Emperor could see through lies with one glance. They said together they rebuilt a broken empire. But ordinary people loved another rumor most of all. That on quiet nights beneath lantern-lit skies, the Emperor would suddenly smile for no reason. And somewhere nearby, the Empress would blush and threaten to hit him. Because even after all those years, they still heard every secret thought. And somehow, they loved each other more because of it. The end. Thank you for watching. Like, share and subscribe Miss Novella.